Welcome to Craving the Heat, where desire takes the lead and every story leaves you wanting more. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments and keep up with our latest naughty stories. It had been a quiet Sunday afternoon, the kind where time seems to stretch lazily, and I found myself on the couch reading a book as the soft hum of the house surrounded me. My husband, David, was out running errands, and my stepdaughter, Olivia, was at her friend's house for a sleepover. It was one of those rare moments when I had the house to myself, which, after a week of busy work and constant interactions, was a welcome change. Olivia had come into my life a few years ago when David and I married. She was 10 at the time, a quiet and somewhat reserved girl who had always seemed a little unsure of me. I understood having a new person step into her life had to be confusing. Her mother had passed away when she was young, and David had raised her alone for several years before I came along. I knew I was entering a delicate situation, and I wanted nothing more than to build a connection with her, to offer support without overstepping Dot at first. It was slow going. Olivia kept her distance, never outright rejecting me, but never fully opening up either. I understood her hesitation, so I gave her the space she needed, even if it was hard at times. David had always been patient, understanding that this was a new chapter for all of us, Dot, but something had changed in the last few months. I noticed subtle shifts. Olivia starting to come to me with little things, asking for help with her homework, sharing stories about school, even asking if I could come watch her soccer game. It wasn't a dramatic change, but it was enough to let me know that she was beginning to see me as more than just her dad's wife. She was starting to see me as someone she could rely on, and that meant the world to me. One afternoon, David had gone to a meeting, leaving Olivia and me at home. Alone. I was in the kitchen, preparing a light lunch, when Olivia walked in, holding something behind her back. I turned around, curious, and gave her a smile. "Hey, Olivia, what's up?" I asked, wiping my hands on a towel. She hesitated for a moment, then stepped forward, revealing a small box. It was wrapped in simple, colorful paper with a little bow on top. My heart skipped a beat. I wasn't sure what to expect. "I got this for you," she said softly, her eyes looking down for a moment before meeting mine. "I've been thinking about it for a while, and I wanted to give it to you." Surprised, I took the box from her, feeling an unexpected warmth in my chest. I had never imagined that Olivia, of all people, would do something like this. I gently unwrapped it, opening the small box to find a delicate bracelet. It was simple, just a silver band with a small charm shaped like a heart. It was beautiful in its simplicity. I looked up at Olivia, unsure of what to say. My heart swelled and I could feel the warmth of emotions bubbling up. I had always been cautious about pushing for too much, but here she was, offering me something meaningful. "Olivia, it's beautiful," I said, my voice a little shaky. "Thank you so much." She nodded, her expression a little shy, but there was something in her eyes, a flicker of something deeper. It wasn't just a gift. It was a gesture of trust, of acceptance. And that meant more to me than words could express. I know it's been hard for you," she said quietly, shifting on her feet. "With everything, with me and you and Dad, but I think you're really nice, and I want you to know that I'm glad you're here." The words hung in the air between us, raw and tender. I didn't know what to say at first. There had been moments when I felt like I might never fully bridge the gap between us, moments when I wasn't sure if she would ever fully accept me. But in that instant, something shifted. "I'm really glad you're here too, Olivia," I said softly. "I know it's been a big adjustment for both of us, but I want you to know I'm always here for you, whatever you need." She smiled, then a shy but sincere smile, and for the first time, I felt like we were finally starting to understand each other. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that was enough. Over the next few weeks, our relationship continued to grow. Olivia started opening up more, sharing her thoughts and feelings with me in ways she hadn't before. She told me about her friends, her dreams, and even the things that worried her. We spent afternoons together, painting, baking, and talking about everything under the sun. Slowly, she began to feel more like family, and the distance between us seemed to close little by little. One evening, David and I sat together on the porch after dinner, watching the sunset. I told him about Olivia's gift, about how it had moved me. David smiled, his arm around me, his gaze soft and affectionate. "I'm proud of both of you," he said. "I know it's been a journey, but you've both been working at it. And I can see the difference. Olivia's starting to see you for who you are, and you're becoming a part of her life in a way that feels real." I leaned my head on his shoulder, feeling the quiet comfort of his presence. I never expected it to be so hard, but I also didn't expect to feel this way. There's something so special about what Olivia and I are building. David kissed the top of my head. "She's lucky to have you, and so am I." I smiled at his words, feeling a sense of fulfillment that I hadn't realized I was missing. I had always loved David deeply, but seeing him so supportive of my relationship with Olivia made my heart swell with even more affection. In that moment, I realized that love wasn't just about romance. It was about connection, about being there for each other, even when it was difficult. Months passed, and our family continued to find its rhythm. Olivia was thriving, her grades improved, her confidence grew, and our bond continued to strengthen. We celebrated holidays together, went on small trips, and created memories that would last a lifetime. One evening, as we all sat around the table for dinner, Olivia suddenly turned to me with a serious look in her eyes. "I've been thinking," she began. "I really like that we're spending more time together. And I feel like you're more like my mom than I thought you could be." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. I had never expected to hear those words, but they felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. "I think I'd like that too." "Olivia," I said, my voice soft but filled with emotion. "I've always wanted to be someone you could count on. I'm glad we're getting there." She smiled, her eyes bright. "I think we're there." In that moment, I realized that love, true love, wasn't just about finding a perfect match. It was about building something over time through small gestures, patience, and understanding. It was about learning to trust, learning to open up, and learning to be there for each other when it mattered the most. As the evening drew to a close, I felt a deep sense of peace settle over me. I hadn't expected this journey with Olivia, but I was grateful for it. It was a journey of love, and one that I knew would only grow stronger as time went on. As time went on, the rhythm of our lives settled into a gentle, comfortable flow. Olivia and I had reached a point where we could talk about anything school, her friends, the small things that were important to a 15-year-old, and I was always there to listen. Sometimes, our conversations were light and full of laughter, and other times they were serious, when Olivia would open up about her insecurities or worries. Each of these moments helped build the bridge between us, a bridge that was becoming stronger by the day. One day, Olivia came home from school with a serious expression on her face. I could tell something was bothering her, and my heart immediately went to her, wanting to know what was on her mind. "Hey, Liv," I said, noticing the tension in her shoulders. "Is everything okay?" She shrugged, not meeting my gaze at first. "I just had a rough day. It's nothing, really." But I could tell it wasn't nothing. Olivia was rarely this closed off, and I wasn't about to let her shut me out now. I put down the dish I was drying and sat across from her at the kitchen table, giving her a gentle but encouraging smile. "You know you can tell me anything, right?" I said softly. "You don't have to keep things to yourself. Whatever it is, we can talk about it." She sighed, looking up at me, her eyes a mix of frustration and uncertainty. "It's just, I don't know how to handle things with Dad. Sometimes he's been so busy lately, and he doesn't get it when I try to talk to him. He seems so distant." I could see the hurt in her eyes, and my heart broke for her. Olivia and David had always been so close, but it was clear that the weight of his work was taking a toll on their relationship. She had started to feel invisible to him, even though she didn't deserve to be. "I'm sorry, Liv," I said, reaching over and placing my hand on hers. I know it's hard when the person you love isn't as present as you need them to be, but your dad loves you. You know that, right? She nodded, but there was still uncertainty in her expression. I know, but sometimes it feels like he's more focused on everything else than on me. And I don't want to bother him. I don't know what to do. I could feel her pain, and I knew that I couldn't solve the problem for her. But I could offer her my support just as I always had. I gave her hand a reassuring squeeze. Maybe you don't have to handle it all on your own, I suggested. You're not bothering him by wanting to spend time with him or talk to him. Sometimes people just need a reminder of what's important. Maybe it's time to have a conversation with him. Let him know how you're feeling. He might not realize that he's been distant. Olivia considered my words for a long moment, her brows furrowed in thought. Finally, she gave a small nod. You're right. I think I've been avoiding the conversation, hoping it would get better on its own. But maybe it's time I just said something. I smiled at her, proud of her for considering the conversation. I think that's a good idea. You're strong, Liv. I know you can handle it. The next day, after school, Olivia and I spent some time together in the kitchen, baking cookies. It had become one of our favorite rituals, nothing fancy, just a way to pass the time and enjoy each other's company. As we worked together, Olivia seemed a little more at ease, as though the weight from the day had begun to lift. The rhythmic motions of stirring the dough and placing spoonfuls on the baking sheet helped calm her nerves. I'm going to talk to him tonight, she said quietly, her fingers gently pressing the cookie dough into neat little rounds. Good. For you, I said with a smile. I know it's not easy, but sometimes the hardest conversations are the most important. I just hope he listens, Olivia replied, her voice tinged with uncertainty. I'm sure he will, I assured her. He loves you, Liv, and sometimes love means making an effort to really hear each other, even when things aren't perfect. That evening, as I cleaned up the kitchen, I could hear Olivia's voice from the living room, quiet but determined. She was talking to David, explaining how she felt and how much she missed their connection. I couldn't hear everything, but I could sense the vulnerability in her words, and my heart swelled with pride for her. A few minutes later, David walked into the kitchen, looking a little more relaxed than when he had left for work that morning. His eyes met mine, and I could see the change in his expression. The weight had lifted from his shoulders. I had a good talk with Olivia, he said, a tired but genuine smile on his face. She opened up about how she's been feeling, and I realize I haven't been there for her the way I should be. I'm going to make more time for her. I could see the love in his eyes as he spoke about Olivia. It was clear that he was committed to fixing things, to being a better father to her. I'm proud of you both, I said softly. It's never easy to have those conversations, but it's the only way to move forward. David nodded, and then, without saying much more, he reached out to pull me into a hug. It was a quiet moment, but there was something so profound about it. In that brief embrace, I felt the bond between us, our love for each other, but also our love for Olivia. We were building something stronger, a foundation that wasn't just about us, but about all of us. The weeks that followed brought more understanding between Olivia and David. He made more of an effort to be present, to show up for her in the way she needed. Olivia began to feel seen again, her confidence growing as she realized that her voice mattered and that she could communicate openly with her dad. And as for me, I continued to be there for both of them, supporting Olivia as she navigated her teenage years and her evolving relationship with her father. I saw how much they were growing, not just as individuals, but as a family. The more I supported them, the more I understood how love wasn't just about romantic gestures. It was about connection, about being there when it mattered most. One evening, as we all sat down to dinner together, Olivia reached over to me and squeezed my hand. Her smile was soft but sincere. Thanks for everything. I really appreciate you being here, she said, her voice full of warmth. I smiled back, my heart swelling with emotion. I'm always here for you, Liv. And in that moment, I realized that love was something we built, piece by piece. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was enough. A few months passed, and things between Olivia, David, and I settled into a comfortable rhythm. We found our way through the ups and downs, learning to communicate more openly, to lean on each other when things felt uncertain. I could feel the shifts in our dynamic, how much more connected we were as a family, and how much more understanding there was between David and Olivia. Their relationship was transforming from one of distance to one of closeness, and it filled my heart with gratitude. One Saturday afternoon, David and I were in the kitchen preparing lunch when Olivia walked in, her face alight with excitement. She had a sparkle in her eyes that I hadn't seen in a while, and it immediately caught my attention. "Guess what?" she asked, practically bouncing on her heels. We both looked at her, curious. "What is it, Liv?" David asked, wiping his hands on a towel as he turned toward her. "I got into the art program at school," she exclaimed, her voice full of joy. "They accepted me into their advanced class, and I'm going to get to work with the older students on some new projects." My heart swelled with pride. I had always known that Olivia had a creative spark inside her, but seeing her embrace that passion and find success made me so happy. She had always kept that part of herself quiet, perhaps feeling unsure or overshadowed by everything else in her life, but now it was finally coming to the forefront. "I couldn't have been prouder. That's amazing, Liv," I said, stepping forward to give her a quick hug. "You've worked so hard and you deserve it." David also beamed with pride. "I knew you had it in you," he said, pulling her into a hug. "This is a huge step. I'm really proud of you, sweetheart." As they shared a moment of father-daughter connection, I stepped back and watched them with a quiet sense of fulfillment. It wasn't just about Olivia's success. It was about seeing her so happy, seeing her find herself and pursue what she loved. This was the kind of connection we'd all been working towards, and it was finally taking root. That evening, we went out to celebrate. Olivia's joy was infectious, and as we sat together at dinner, I could feel the warmth in the air, the sense of togetherness that had grown stronger over the past few months. Even as we laughed and talked, I noticed something different about David and me. There was a new layer to our connection, a layer of understanding and patience that hadn't been there before. Later, as we walked home from the restaurant, Olivia mentioned that she wanted to make a new piece of art to commemorate her acceptance into the program. "I want to paint something that represents where I am right now," she said thoughtfully. "Something that reflects how much I've grown." Her words resonated deeply with me. I had seen Olivia go through so much over the past few years, dealing with loss, uncertainty, and the challenge of adjusting to a new family dynamic. But now she was finding her footing, and she was doing it with confidence. She was no longer that quiet, uncertain girl who had been unsure of her place. She was becoming a young woman who knew exactly who she was and what she wanted. That night, as I lay in bed beside David, I turned to him, unable to keep the smile off my face. "She's amazing," I said softly, my voice full of emotion. "Look at her, she's finding herself in such a beautiful way." David reached over and took my hand, squeezing it gently. "She is, and I couldn't be more proud of her. I'm just glad we're here together to support her." There was a pause, and then David added, his voice quieter now, "I've been thinking a lot about us lately, about how we've come." I turned to face him, my heart fluttering in my chest. David had always been a man of few words, but when he spoke, he made each one count. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" I said, my voice filled with gratitude. "I'm so glad we're here. I'm glad we've stuck it out, even when things were tough." David smiled, his eyes soft as he looked at me. "I don't think I ever realized how much I needed you, how much we all needed you. I don't know where I'd be without you, Jen." I leaned in and kissed him gently, feeling the depth of our connection in that simple, quiet gesture. Our relationship had grown too, not just as a couple, but as a family. It wasn't just about the big moments, it was about the everyday moments. The small gestures of love and care that held everything together. A few months later, Sophie's growth was undeniable. She was not only excelling in her art program, but she was also becoming more open with her emotions, more in tune with her own needs and desires. The relationship with her father had grown so much stronger, and while there were still occasional bumps in the road, they both knew how to navigate them with open communication and trust. One Sunday afternoon, we were all sitting together in the living room, laughing over a silly game of cards. Olivia had become more comfortable with our family dynamic, her once reserved nature now replaced with a joyful, easygoing spirit. David and I exchanged a look of contentment as we watched her, grateful for everything we had worked through. "Dad." "Jeanne," Olivia said suddenly, her tone serious yet gentle. "I've been thinking about something. I want to ask you both for something." David and I both paused, the lighthearted moment shifting into something more intimate. "What's up, Lev?" David asked, his voice full of curiosity. "I've been really happy lately," she said, her voice soft. "And I think I'm ready to take a big step. I want to be more involved in the community in ways that make me feel like I'm contributing something meaningful. I'm thinking about getting involved in volunteer work. I want to get back and use my art to make a difference." I was stunned for a moment, then filled with pride. Olivia's growth wasn't just personal, it was something that extended outward, a reflection of the compassionate person she was becoming. I knew her journey wasn't over, but I also knew she was on a path to a bright and fulfilling future. "That's amazing, Lev," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "Whatever you decide to do, we'll be here for you. You're becoming someone so strong and so full of heart. I'm so proud of you." David nodded, his eyes misty as he looked at her. "You've come so far, sweetheart. I'm proud of you and I'm proud of who you're becoming." The months continued to pass, and Olivia's journey of self-discovery became even more profound. As a family, we continued to grow together, supporting each other through every twist and turn. I had come to realize that love wasn't about grand gestures or fairy tale endings. It was about the quiet moments, the deep connections we built over time. It was about learning to communicate, to support one another, and to embrace each other's growth. In the end, our family was stronger than ever, not because we were perfect, but because we had learned how to face our challenges together, with love, patience, and understanding. And I knew that no matter what the future held, we would continue to walk this journey side by side, supporting each other through every step. As the months went by, our family grew even closer, and I began to see the true strength of our bond. David and Olivia had found a new rhythm in their relationship, one that was filled with mutual respect, understanding, and, above all, love. But it wasn't just about them. My connection with David had reached new depths, too. It was no longer just about sharing a home or a life. It was about sharing our hearts, fully and without reservation. One evening after dinner, we decided to spend some quiet time together. Olivia had gone out with friends, and for the first time in weeks, we had the house to ourselves. It was an opportunity to reconnect, to share the intimacy that had grown between us over time. David and I sat on the couch, the dim light of the living room casting a soft glow around us. I felt an overwhelming sense of comfort just being next to him. His presence felt like home, his steady heartbeat matching my own. "I've been thinking about us," David said quietly, breaking the silence that had settled comfortably between. About how much we've grown, and how much more we still have ahead of us." I looked at him, my heart swelling with emotion. "Me too," I said, my voice soft, barely above a whisper. "We've been through so much together, and I never expected us to come out stronger. But here we are." David reached for my hand, his fingers brushing against mine before he entwined them gently. His touch was warm, familiar, and it stirred something deep inside of me. He leaned closer, his lips brushing against my ear as he whispered, "You're my heart, Jen. You've always been the missing piece. I love you more than I can put into words." I felt my breath catch in my chest, my pulse quickening at the intensity of his words. The love between us had always been strong, But tonight it felt different, deeper, more passionate, as though we were both acknowledging the depth of our connection. David? I breathed, my voice trembling. I love you too. More than anything. I never thought I could feel this way, not after everything we've been through. But you're everything. His lips found mine in a kiss that was slow at first, tentative, as though he was savoring every moment of the connection we shared. But soon it deepened, becoming more urgent, as though we both had waited long enough to truly experience this. Love without holding back. The kiss was everything: passion, tenderness, and a raw need to be close to one another, to be one with each other. I pulled him closer, my hands sliding over his chest, feeling the warmth of his skin beneath his shirt. He responded in kind, his hands roaming over my back, pulling me into him with a hunger that matched my own. The years of holding back, of waiting for the right moment, had finally come to an end. Tonight we were not just partners, not just parents. We were two people madly in love, finding each other all over again. David's lips trailed down my neck, his breath warm against my skin, and I couldn't help but gasp at the sensation. Jeanne, he murmured, his voice thick with desire. I need you. I closed my eyes, letting the words sink in. I had always known that David was my heart, but tonight, in the depth of our passion, I realized that he was my soul too. We were connected in a way that went beyond the physical. Our love was something that transcended time, something that had grown and evolved into something even more powerful than I had imagined. We made our way to the bedroom, hands still tangled together, hearts racing in unison. The world outside ceased to exist as we came together, our bodies aligning in a dance that was as old as time itself. It wasn't just the physical act of love, it was the expression of everything we had built together, everything we had overcome, and everything we still had yet to experience. David's hands were gentle yet insistent, caressing me with a tenderness that made my heart ache. He kissed me with an intensity that matched the fire I felt burning in my chest, each kiss a promise, each touch a reminder of everything we had fought for. Jeanne, he whispered against my lips, his voice hoarse with desire. You're mine. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming love I felt for this man. And you're mine, I replied, my voice thick with emotion. As the night wore on, we lost ourselves in each other, completely and utterly consumed by the love we had cultivated over the years. There was no rush, no pressure, just the deep, unspoken connection between us, a bond that felt like it had always been there, waiting for the right moment to flourish. The following morning, we woke up tangled in the sheets, our bodies still, warm from the passion of the night before. I looked over at David, my heart full, and smiled. It wasn't just the physical connection that made me feel whole. It was the emotional bond we shared. The fact that we had both allowed ourselves to be vulnerable, to love without reservation. Last night was incredible, David said, his voice a little sleepy, but filled with sincerity. I nodded, feeling content. It was perfect. We lay there for a moment, simply enjoying the quiet, knowing that the world outside would eventually come calling. But for now, in this small, intimate space, everything was exactly as it should be. There was no need for words, no need to explain how we were feeling. We simply existed together, our love strong and unwavering, knowing that we had found something truly special. Later that day, we went to Olivia's art show, both of us full of pride for the young woman she was becoming. As we walked through the gallery, admiring her paintings and the way she had expressed herself, I could see how far she had come. Olivia, like us, had found her own path, her own purpose, and she was thriving. We spent the evening together, just the three of us, celebrating her accomplishments and sharing laughter. The joy in Olivia's eyes as she spoke about her work filled me with a sense of fulfillment that went beyond anything I could have imagined. And as I looked at David, I knew that this was the life we had built, a life of love, understanding, and shared growth. Later that night, after Olivia had gone to bed, David and I sat on the porch watching the stars. Our hands were intertwined, and the cool night air wrapped around us like a blanket. I rested my head on his shoulder, feeling at peace. You know, David said softly, I think we finally found our way. Jeanne, we've been through a lot, but we're stronger because of it. And we'll continue to grow together. I smiled, my heart full. We're stronger than we've ever been. And we'll keep growing, keep loving, and keep building this life we've created. And as we sat there under the vast, star-filled sky, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. Our love, passionate and unwavering, would be the foundation of everything we were, everything we would become.